Bible talks about that which is determined will be poured out upon the desolate. And when will this determined be done? The Antichrist rules for 42 months. The image of the beast is erected, and that brings apart the whole portion of the end times prophecy where the plagues are poured out upon Jerusalem for those 1260 days. In the book of Revelation, it talks about the 42 months of the Antichrist. This is the time that which is determined shall be done. It says, "And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven." We see the Antichrist speaking blasphemies and great things, and he's given power for these 42 months. And this is also mentioned in the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 11 verse 36 says, "And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done." Now we see here that statement, that is determined shall be done. He shall prosper until the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. And that is determined shall be done is the plagues and the wrath that are poured out for the 1260 days until the beast is captured and thrown into the lake of fire, the wrath of God on the day of the Lord. The indignation. And that is that which is determined until it's done. In Daniel chapter 11, verse 36, it says, "Shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished." So whose indignation will be accomplished? In the book of Nahum, it talks about this in verse 1, verse 6. "Who can stand before his indignation? And who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him." And Jeremiah also talks about this in Jeremiah 10, verse 10. It says, "But the Lord is the true God, he is the living God, and an everlasting King. At his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignation." So we see it talking about the indignation here. There's 1260 days of indignation on the earth of the wrath of God until the final day where the Lord pours out in the fullness of his cup the wrath of his indignation. And this is what the prophecy says in the book of Daniel about that which is determined shall be done until the time of his indignation shall be accomplished. Isaiah talks about this in Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. It says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast." And where are the people coming to? It says, "Come, my people, come and gather on the next Exodus and go to the place where you're hidden while the wrath is poured out on the earth, just like the days of Noah with the ark." The end times Exodus is a place where the people go into the chambers of Petra and hide for those 1260 days and inside the rocks and wait for the Lord to return. Revelation chapter 12, verse 6 talks about this. It says, "And the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days." Yes, the bride is hidden at Petra in the wilderness for these 1260 days as the plagues are prophesied on the earth. And where in the Bible does it say these plagues are prophesied? In the book of Revelation, chapter 11. In verse 3 it says, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." And where are these plagues being prophesied? Jerusalem will have the plagues being prophesied for 1260 days as the wrath of God is poured out upon the earth. And these are the plagues that are prophesied over in book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 6. "These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will." And how do we know that the plagues are poured out upon Jerusalem and prophesied upon Jerusalem? Because the Antichrist beast is ruling from Jerusalem, and this is where the desolation occurs, and this is where the plagues are poured out upon the desolate until the time of those things and the indignation has passed and been accomplished. And we see that the seat of the beast is Jerusalem in the book of Revelation chapter 16. It says in verse 10 and 11, And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And this is the same beast that blasphemes and exalts himself above all gods and speaks great things against the Most High, and the plagues are poured out upon him until that time is accomplished. And we see that's what is mentioned in the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 36. It says that is determined shall be done. When is it accomplished? It is accomplished at the end of the 1260 days. And that's what is determined. And that indignation that has come over until it's done is at the end of the seventh trumpet, where we see that Christ says it is done. Revelation chapter 16 verse 17 says, And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And we also see at the seventh trumpet in the book of Revelation chapter 10, it talks about that which is accomplished, what is finished. Revelation chapter 10 verse 7 says, But the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. What has he declared to his prophets? That the bowls and the wrath will be poured out upon the desolate, and the prophecy will be finished and revealed for those 1260 days, and at that seventh trumpet at the end it will be done. It will be finished. It will be accomplished. And that's what is written, and that what is determined shall be done in the book of Daniel chapter 11 verse 36. And this is exactly what is written in the scripture, and that which is determined will be done is those 1260 days. The plagues will be poured out, and that's the time that it will be accomplished. And that is the prophecy of that which is determined.